Hey, what's up, Mom, Vanessa, and six other random people who probably hit subscribe by accident. Today I'm gonna mix it up with some Far Cry plus a little bit of Photoshop. Let's see if we can get started here. Using the new camera mode in Far Cry, I wanted to make a panorama for desktop backgrounds or to span against across multiple monitors. So I found a spot that I liked, had good scenery, and I went into photo mode. Now the Photo mode doesn't let you really get the camera very far away from your player character, but you can kind of orbit around and try to find a good spot. You'll end up with a good panorama. This one looks pretty good. I get the fire, I get my character, the the aurora up there. I'm gonna use start out. I'm gonna use this ridge as a reference point so that I know when I've gone 360 degrees. So now I'm gonna sort of pan a little bit, take a shot, pan a little bit, take a shot. Try to keep it horizontal. It doesn't have to be perfect because Photoshop is essentially magic nowadays. I'll go in there and show you how um, the settings that you actually need to use in order to get it to do right. And you can see I stop at the that ridge from earlier, and then I move up and I make sure that the screenshots I get are overlapping because you want to make it easy as possible on Photoshop to get a good uh, seamless weld with the images. So now let's move over to Photoshop. And the photo mode actually just puts all the images in a folder. And so you want to go into Automate and Photo Merge. Um, Make sure Files is selected, and then browse to the folder where all your images are stored. Select all the images you just took. And then the important thing to do is spherical. If you try auto, it's going to try to do perspective. That's going to really screw it up. And then you want to make sure to turn on all those options. Photoshop's going to work through it really quickly. It's going to import each image as a new layer. It's going to do some really good magic to it, lining up the various objects in the layers. And I sped this up quite a bit. And you can see the area that's selected right now is actually the content aware fill that Photoshop just made up. Hit Control D to deselect it, Command D on the Mac. Anytime I deselect it, I use Control D. Now I zoom into 100%, you can see that it did a pretty good job. It's a pretty decent quality image right there. But you can also see the content aware fill is a little bit messed up over here. Um, our primary tools are going to be this patch tool, and I'll show the brush here in a little bit. But this patch tool is basically magic. It's over the last 25 years, this has been one of the most advanced tool additions to Photoshop because it just makes things like this very easy. And if you take your time, you can do some really nice studio quality edits uh, to photography. And so since this is just for desktop backgrounds or just for messing around, I don't really have to be that picky. But you can see I just sort of shift a little bit at a time to get rid of the big areas that are messed up, and then I sort of move it around and randomize it some. Now that I got that randomized, I'm gonna show you what the healing brush tool does, and it's not really the one you want to use for these easy edits because it's going to require another selection, but it'll let you select another area, and then it'll sort of clone, brush, fix, heal the two together. What we're going to use for this is the spot healing brush tool because it does it all automatically with one brush. I use the bracket to make my brush a little bigger and make sure it's got a nice soft edge and the type is content aware. Otherwise, it's going to be kind of messy if you don't do that. So I just randomly just do sort of not geometric shapes. You want to make this as sort of free form and random as possible so that it doesn't look like there's a pattern in there. So you can see some still has some haze and stuff in the sky. Makes it look pretty decent. Now I'm just going to fast forward through. I've done this in several places in the grass and things. If you can do your strokes sort of the same direction um, as the grass, and you can see this area here wasn't getting the texture that I wanted, so I went back to the patch tool. Then it sort of blend in the edges there. Um, the smoke is a little bit messy, but we can make it better. Now, one of the things that patch tool does is it really clones, and you can see that this rock looks a lot like that rock. So I'm going to use the spot healing brush tool to um, make that look a little more random. So the obvious shapes that are in there to make that one rock, I'm going to sort of brush over them to make it a little less obvious that it's actually the same object. And it kind of looks like there's two fires here, and this is a whole other cloud of smoke. So I'm just going to try to brush that out a little bit. Sometimes it takes some tweaking. And if you use the spot healing tool and you're really not happy with the results, you can use the history panel and just go back as far as you want and delete all those states. And since this is just a quick, um, just for desktop backgrounds and stuff, I'm not going to worry too much about the detail. And you can see that it's a really large image. So a lot of these details aren't even going to be perceivable at the desktop scale. But just clean up the obvious stuff, the big chunks that look wrong. And now see these trees over here have quite a few issues, and those are very obvious. And since it's sort of close to the center where I would probably have my main um, images set up, I want to try to fix that and try to line up those trunks. So you see if you select the area, you can sort of move the trunk over a little bit. Get it lined up to where it looks pretty decent. Um, Again, I'm hitting Control D there to deselect before I draw a new selection. And kind of move these limbs over so that it looks better. And a lot of times you just kind of have to play with it. And if you know a limb is going to stay there, you can, you know, make sure they're kind of connected. But you can see this trunk area here really needs fixed. But right there, I can connect them, and it looks pretty convincing. And you can always move down, or you can pick the trunk from another tree and move that around and scoot it here and there until it looks a little more random, uh, less like a pattern fill. I'm just messing around, just trying to find something to sort of fill out those branches at the top. There's some branches just floating, so I'm gonna try to get rid of those. Yeah, that's pretty good. Use the spot healing brush tool to clean it up a little bit. So I'm gonna fast forward as I do a few more uh, fix-ups in the brush and stuff. And yeah, here we go. Finished product. Thanks for watching. Click like if you like, subscribe if you want to subscribe. Thanks a lot.